Hi guys, I'm Kathy Tips. I'm going to talk to you today about ancient Mesopotamia. Here is my artifact box. On it I have a picture of Mesopotamia. It is a little strip of land in the eastern Mediterranean, and it is surrounded by the Tigris and Euphrates River. It is also referred to as the Fertile Crescent, which I'll get to in a little bit. I also have a picture of a ziggurat on here. It is a stepstone structure with a temple on top, and one of these was placed in the middle of each city. In my box, I have a sun-dried brick that I made of clay. These sun-dried bricks were what the Mesopotamians used to build their buildings and homes. There was no stone, and there were not very many trees in the area for them to use, so they had to resort to the clay from the river to make their buildings. They also were one of the first ones to create columns, arches, and roof structures. Next, I have a watch because the Mesopotamians used the base 60 system, which is what we use for our 60-second minute and our 60-minute hour. I also have a shovel because in Mesopotamia, their way of life was through agriculture, and there was very little rain, so their water supply came from the river. So they were one of the first people to dig irrigation ditches in order to water. Next, I have a silver ring. Mesopotamians were one of the first to use currency in trade. It started with using silver and they just weighed it. Then they used silver rings and then eventually silver coins. Next, I have a code book. It's Hammurabi's Code. Hammurabi was a Babylonian leader who took some of the rules from each of the city-states and combined them. This unified the cities. His rules were placed all over the city for everyone to see. I have written on here harsh and an eye for an eye because his rules were strict and harsh in punishment. One of the rules was that if a son were to strike his father, they could cut off his forehand. And Hammurabi's rules put the responsibility of what occurred in society on the government. Lastly, I have a map of Mesopotamia. This green spot on here is Mesopotamia, and it's called the Fertile Crescent because the soil was so fertile and a large part was agriculture. The river deposited a lot of silt, which made the soil so great. The river flooded at least once a year, and it had an irregular supply of water. And then there's also mountains here to the northeast and desert down to the southwest. So even being surrounded by desert and mountains, it was so fertile due to the river. So I hope you've learned some about Mesopotamia and are encouraged to learn more.